Hi everybody, I thought I'd do a show today on hypnotism. And as many of you know who studied the Gurdjieff work, Gurdjieff himself trained as a hypnotist and worked with that way of thinking, helping people with their problems, whether it be their alcohol problems, drug problems, mind problems, whatever. He saw hypnotism as a great way of working on people. And maybe many of you have looked into hypnotism. It is a interesting theory and works, I believe. I myself studied self-hypnosis for many years, a long time ago, about how to help yourself. So self-hypnosis was about working on myself to be obviously more positive, to understand my emotions, and to hypnotize myself, I suppose, into giving myself a stronger personality at that time, because I didn't understand the difference between personalities and essence. And it also helped me to understand through hypnotism of why I was like I was, or why other people are like they are, because it came with a lot of psychological learning. Because when you study hypnotism, you start learning about how people are and why they put on these different masks, which we all do. So I wanted to start with a quote from Gurdjieff about when he was a hypnotist from meetings with remarkable men. I brought people of many different types into various degrees of hypnosis for the purpose of elucidating for myself all the details of the phenomenon which learned hypnotists call the exteriorization of sensitivity, or the transference of sensations of pain at a distance. I made a model roughly resembling the medium I intended to bring into the hypnotic state, that psychic state of man, which is in a branch of science from very ancient times, is called loss of initiative. In contemporary classification would correspond to the third stage of hypnosis. And there are many different types of hypnosis. There's the stage magicians that do hypnosis as a show and, get someone on stage and hypnotize them into, thinking they're a duck or something when a certain word is given. And then there's the hypnosis of healing, which many people do. And Mesmer was one of those people that brought this kind of thing to the fore, though his wasn't hypnotism, his was mesmerism, slightly different. And I have a show about that where I talk about it with Claire, which you can find on my YouTube channel, and I will put a link to it at the end of here, which is really interesting show about Mesmer. And then we go on and talk about Gurdjieff in the last part. So Gurdjieff's talking about hypnotism, that people are being hypnotized by their lives, by life, by everyday things. We're hypnotized. We're not awake, are we? So we're in a sleep, but we're hypnotized as we're going along doing what we're doing. And I suppose you could relate that to modern day, in that we are still hypnotized by everything that's going on. One example would be watching TV. We are hypnotized by the TV. We watch programs. And programs, if we look at the word program, is about programming, and it's programming you, it's hypnotizing you into a way of thinking, which is why many people watch things like soaps or these, emotional dramas, or these TV detective shows. They're quite hypnotizing to watch. You want to watch it to the end. Well, especially with the soap stories, they make you watch it to the end and then leave a cliffhanger, so you're watching it again the next day. It's hypnotizing you, it's programming you to see and think what they want you to see and think. But that can be a bit speculative. So can we unhypnotize ourselves? And I believe this is what the Gurdjieff work helps us with doing. We're working on ourselves and teaching ourselves to unhypnotize ourselves so that we can see what's really going on in the world and ourselves. So he carries on in meetings with remarkable men. I already knew a great deal about hypnotism, and after bringing a man into a certain state, could influence him by suggestion to forget any undesirable habit. And this is what I was working on with the self-hypnosis I was telling you about earlier. It was putting suggestions into yourself, positive ones, and Gurdjieff gives us these great positive suggestions to do the I am exercise. I am, and then with his other exercises, if you read through his books, he gives many different exercises of how to work on yourself and on the body and on the mind and on your emotions, which in a way is a hypnotism, but it's a hypnotism to make yourself a better, real, genuine person. So carrying on with meetings from remarkable men. Those phenomena in totality, called the power of human thought, the study of which is a distinct branch of the contemporary science of hypnotism. And this is what it's all about. Our power of thought is very strong, very, very strong, more than we realise. And it's not something that we are taught in everyday school or in everyday learning. But when we study these kind of things, we realise how important our thoughts are, our thoughts on ourselves. Steiner says that Rudolf Steiner says that when we're thinking horrible thoughts about someone, we're sending killing thoughts to them. You know, you're killing them because all thoughts are going out into the realm and can be felt. You know, people might not know that they're being killed by the thoughts, but then you're sending out loving thoughts, then that person's receiving loving energies. And it is, you know, a difficult thing to comprehend. That's why we're getting different thoughts from each other. We're just not aware of it. Once you start developing yourself, you start becoming aware of what you're giving out, what you're thinking and sending out to people, and sometimes start picking up what other people are sending back to you. You know, there is a theory that when you get these strange stabbing feelings in your body, sometimes maybe when you're lying in bed at night, that's because someone's thinking horrible thoughts about you, you know, somewhere else in the world, and you're feeling it, you're picking it up because you're in a relaxed state, you're in bed. Maybe we don't pick them up so much when we're going about our everyday lives. So be careful what you think, which is why it's important to think, I'm going to say the word positively again, lovingly, kindly in our thoughts. And it's difficult because our thoughts are so quick and our emotions are so quick. We send out things really quickly, but we can always forgive ourselves and forgive those thoughts. If we do catch ourselves sending a nasty thought out, you know, if you can catch it, it's gone. But then if you work on yourself, or if you know you're sorry about that, you know, remorse of conscience, as Gurdjieff would say, or this is part of that, you can you're giving back to it a goodness and working on it and hopefully turning that thought. You know, I'd like to think that we're sending out, when we send out them horrible thoughts, and then we send out an apology afterwards, and a genuine apology, it manages to transmute it or dissolve it from its stinging bite. So carrying on, this is from All and Everything. The functioning of their being consciousness began to be divided into two entirely different consciousnesses, having nothing in common. Consciousness and subconsciousness were gradually formed in them. The psychic peculiarity of falling into a hypnotic state is inherent to the free-brained beings only of this planet, of this earth. So he's saying that on other worlds, they don't fall into these hypnotic states because they don't have the consciousness and the unconsciousness. They're more in tune with themselves and right thinking and right doing, where our consciousness can we don't always have control of, and our subconscious comes bubbling up and does things when we're least expecting it. Carrying on, All in Everything. They give the name hypnotic state only to that state of theirs during which the processes of this particular property flows in them acceleratedly, and the results of which are obtained concentratedly. Then every kind of irregular manifestation becomes acutely obvious, non-responsible manifestations of personality. Non-responsible. We want to be responsible for our thoughts. We want to be responsible for our actions. So this is from Views from the Real World. Here, when we speak of development and change, we speak of essence. Our personality remains a slave. It may be changed very quickly, even in half an hour. For instance, by hypnosis, it is possible to change your convictions. This is because they are alien, not your own. But what we have in our essence is our own. And, you know, we're talking here about the different eyes within us. You know, they all have different thoughts. They're all coming up with different ideas, sometimes arguing with themselves, sometimes backing each other up. But really, we want to get to our essence and bring our essence out and use that to do what we are thinking. or that's what we want to be doing, our thinking. So this is from In Search of the Miraculous. The sleep in which man exists is not normal, but hypnotic sleep. Man is hypnotized, and this hypnotic state is continually maintained and strengthened in him. One would think that there are forces for whom it is useful and profitable to keep man in a hypnotic state and prevent him from seeing the truth and understanding his position. Possibly what's going on in 2020, in 2021, who knows? Are we being hypnotized and used for the benefit of whatever's going on and whoever really is ruling the world? Bit for conspiracy theory there, maybe. But something to think about. We want to wake up. So this is a little story of which I have done a film version of on my YouTube channel about the magician and the sheep. At last, the magician found a remedy. He hypnotized his sheep and suggested to them, first of all, that they were immortal and that no harm was being done to them when they were skinned, that on the contrary, it would be very good for them and even pleasant. Secondly, he suggested that the magician was a good master who loved his flock so much that he was ready to do anything in the world for them. In the third place, he suggested that if anything was going to happen to them, it was not going to happen just then, at any rate not that day, and therefore they had no need to think about it. Further, he suggested that they were not sheep at all. To some, he suggested that they were lions, to other eagles, to others men, and to others magicians. And this is a little story about a man watching over his sheep. Are we the sheep? Do we want to be asleep? Do we want to be hypnotized into being told what we should be doing, what we are, who we are? We really want to find the real us, the real I within us, the real person that you are. And that can be done by unhypnotizing yourself. So this is from Not. The branch of science. Well, let me start again. The branch of science highly developed in ancient times, called the taking away of responsibility, of which contemporary civilization knows an insignificant portion, called hypnotism. So the taking away of responsibility. So when we're hypnotized, we don't feel responsible for anything that we're doing. And we think we are. We think we're in control of ourselves. We think we know what we're doing. We all think we're conscious. As we know from the Gurdjieff work and other esoteric works, we're not conscious of what we're doing and who we are. We're not really living. We're being hypnotized into a life that we think we deserve, when really we deserve a much better life of being awake and being a real, genuine person. So I'm swinging my pendulum at you now. Do not be hypnotized. You're going to wake up. You can do it, but you can do it for yourselves. As I've said before, it's nice to try and find a teacher that can help us if we can. It'd be great if we could find a teacher that can get us on the right path and teach us how to unlock ourselves and unhypnotize ourselves, and that we can be actually awake. Thank you, and until next time, stay awake, peoples. Peace and out.